So, what type of water should you be drinking? I know you're thinking about it. I know you've wondered just like I did. So, I'm going to help you make that decision and I'm going to let you know what I think is the best option for you to drink. But I'll start with this. Before we get into the different options, the main thing is make sure you're drinking an adequate amount of water, regardless of what type of water it is, okay? That's step number one, all right? So if you are on a majority fruit-based raw whole food diet, you should be drinking about 1 gallon of water a day. If you're not and you're eating majority cooked foods, then you want to drink roughly around 2 to 3 gallons of water a day. All right. So, number one, make sure you're drinking the correct amount of water each day. All right. It's imperative that we get that hydration, and water is the ultimate solvent. And look, dilution is the solution to pollution, and we have polluted bodies through decades and generations of bad eating habits and bad lifestyle habits. Now, all right, let's get to which water you should be drinking. All right. Now, for myself, like just going through this entire journey, I've tried a bunch of different waters. I've tried boiling tap water and just, drinking that. I've tried, your typical Fiji water, your Evian waters, your bottled waters that you're going to get at the grocery store. I've tried Mountain Valley water, and I've tried distilled water. Okay, so through my experience, what I've realized is you want to focus a lot on the medium that is holding your water. For instance, when you go to the convenience store or Walmart or the grocery store and you buy Evian water, you buy Fiji water, those waters are decent. But if you break down the chemical composition of those, they do have added stuff that technically our body doesn't need and kind of puts our body in somewhat of a digestion mode, and you don't really want to do that. And on top of that, they're all in plastic bottles. So you got to think of the fact that it's in a plastic bottle, it's sitting in a plastic bottle. And if you drink it and you're somewhat clean in your diet, you're going to be able to taste that. If your diet is crappy, then you might not even notice. But when you drink water out of a plastic bottle that's been sitting in a plastic bottle for a long time, you can taste the plastic that slightly leaches into the water there. All right. So those waters, they're okay. Obviously, they're costly and whatnot. So they're okay. Much better than tap. But I wouldn't recommend living on bottled water. All right, for the specific reason that it is sitting in plastic, and then you got heat aspects and all of that goes into it as well. All right, so your Evians, your Fijis, your Ozarkas, all those, and some are better than others. Now, I know a lot of people are big on this whole I'm going to get high alkaline water. High alkaline water, that means they're adding chemistry to the water. They're adding some, whether it's baking soda or whatever the case may be, they're adding something to it to make it more alkaline. You don't need more alkaline water. All right. Remember, you need to eat an alkaline dominant diet. That doesn't mean it's all alkaline. That doesn't mean it's all the way on the scale on the right side of alkalinity. It's more of an alkaline dominant. So slightly alkaline. So remember that. Don't think that because you're drinking alkaline water that it's special or anything like that. It's actually probably doing more damage than regular water. That's my take on the bottled water situation. I also tried for a while, for years, we would order in Mountain Valley spring water. Now, I've done my research. This is one of the healthiest spring water that you can get on the market. And it comes in glass bottles. You can either buy the bottles, the glass bottles, or we would get ordered in 5 gallon jugs of Mountain Valley spring water. And that was amazing. Number one, the medium it's in is glass, which is much better than plastic or stainless steel or anything like that. And it would just, the taste, you could tell the difference. When you would drink that versus any of those bottled waters I spoke of, you would significantly taste the difference in the Mountain Valley spring water. The thing is, it's a little costly. If you buy the bottles, the liter bottles, they're costly. If you, like we were getting in those 5 gallon, I think it was 3 5 gallon jugs for about, I think it was like 80 something dollars a month. And we would run out before the next shipment would come, right? And we didn't want to add another bottle because that was going to be like another $40 or something like that. So That just got costly. And then you're at the mercy of the company delivering it, because it's not Mountain Valley that's delivering it. It's usually like a third party company. And, depending on where you live, you might not have ready access to Mountain Valley water. But if you do, I highly suggest it. All right. And then the last thing is distilled water. So we bought a distiller, had it installed underneath our sink, and we got a little a nozzle, that little tap that allows us to get the distilled water. Now, distilled means it's basically, cleaned and filtered out any chemistry. It's distilled, like it's basically no chemistry. The taste is a little different, especially if you're coming off of Mountain Valley spring water, but it is a complete solvent for your body. The issue that I have with distilled water is that since it has no chemistry, it's going to pull in and leach all the chemistry that it is contained in. Meaning, like the system that it's in that's actually filtering is plastic. The tank that it sits in is a certain type of plastic, so it's going to leach off that. The cup that you put it in is whatever it is, whether it's glass, whether it's hopefully it's glass, but if it's stainless steel or anything else, it's going to leach a little bit off of that. So that is the little bit of a downfall of distilled water, but it is still a great water. If we're talking comparing here. So if I were to rank them based on what I just talked about, I would personally say Mountain Valley spring water, number one. As long as you're getting it in a glass bottle, that's definitely number one. It tastes the best. It's in a great medium and whatnot. Yeah, obviously it's going to have some more mineral content than distilled, but I like the trade-off there. Just based on the chemistry and elements of it. All right, number two would be distilled. And then when I say number two, it's almost like 1A, because it's right there. Because, distilled water, in essence, would be best, because technically as humans, we're not supposed to be drinking water. And the only reason we have to is because of our dehydrated past, which I've talked about. So, I don't want to knock distilled too much. It's just the medium that it's put in that kind of messes it up. And unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do about that. So I would say that's 1B. So Mountain Valley, number one, distilled water, slightly less. And look, it does cost money to get a distiller. I think it cost us a little bit under $300. But then again, you don't have to keep purchasing it over and over. You just have to purchase the filters periodically. All right. And then number three, I would say your typical bottled waters. But when I say typical bottled, you want to stay more along the lines of the ones that don't have additives and the ones that aren't just plain tap water. I think there's a way to tell by the cap color or something like that. But your Evians, your Fijis are going to be much better than, say, your not Ozarka, but your typical Walmart or Sam's Club or Kirkland's or stuff like that. Okay, so just know that going in as well. So that would be number three. And then tap water is like, hey, look, I have no choice. I got to drink what we got. Okay, at least you're doing something. And look, a big part of hydration is fruit. So make sure you're eating your fruit as well. But if we're talking about strictly water, that's kind of how I rank them. Right now, I'm unable to get Mountain Valley just because of like the company that was bringing it to us. They stopped shipping it and they sold to another company, and it's, and we couldn't go without water. So that's why we went the distilled route. But in a perfect world, I would say Mountain Valley would be the best. Now, if you can do a complete filtration system in your whole house, that is optimal, but that's pretty expensive in itself. But that's another option as well. The last thing I'll say is what I said right at the beginning. Regardless of which water you decide to pick, it's all about the fact that you're drinking some kind of water. You need to drink water. You need the hydration. All right. Our bodies have been through hell, right? Through generations and generations and generations. Our tissue is weak. We need to regenerate. We need to clean. We need that ultimate solvent, the universal solvent, to go ahead and clean us out and whatnot. So I'm telling you, it made a massive difference in my life when I started implementing water in addition to my fruit-based diet. And I shared that in my my video that you can watch next about my experience and how much water I drink on a daily. So definitely check that out. If this resonated with you, give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications of when I drop new videos on natural health and diet, detoxing, and all that good stuff. All right. So love all of y'all. Peace, love, and light. Share your comments below. Or if you got another water that you think is, should be on the list that somebody should be checking out, drop it below. All right. You guys be good. Peace and love.